Morning, Kathleen. Can you see the live stream that's up and running now?
Yeah, it is. Good morning to you and to everybody as well.
Yeah. This morning we have got part 2 of our citizenship series, and in about half an hour we have got our next guest joining us. So last week's went so well with Ruth, and the week before with Edwin, and this is our 3rd week. So it's been great. It's been great listening to people share their own stories and talk about their experiences with immigration process. Just our usual disclaimer to say this is not to be taken as advice. It's really for general information and educational purposes only. And we always warn that the laws change quite often, and particularly now we have a new government as well. So let's jump into our topic for today. Today we're going to discuss the citizenship process. So this is part 2 of our series. Last week we talked about the different types of citizenship categories there are. And this week we're going to touch on the citizenship process. Now I've put together a slideshow for today just to take you through the basics of what the process looks like. So starting with, is this going to move? There we go. So the 4 different categories that we touched on last week was citizenship by birth, citizenship by descent, citizenship by Confederal, and this one that we've added in called operational law. For those that are watching this for the first time, if you're not sure what we're talking about, we do go into detail about these 4 areas in the previous week's live. So it might pay to start there if you haven't started already, and then this will make a lot more sense. And today we're going to discuss the application process itself. I'm just trying to move this video around so you can see. So the application process is online applications must be completed through the Department of Home Affairs website only. So we talk about online applications a lot. It's not the only way to apply for citizenship, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. But last week, Kathleen brought up this topic because someone she had spoken with who was inquiring had actually been scammed by a website pretending to do citizenship applications. And this is not the first time this has happened to people. I've had quite a number of New Zealanders, particularly over the years, have the same thing happen. So I'll put a little screenshot, you know, an IMI account is what it's called. It's through the Department of Home Affairs. This is the tool that we use when we're doing people's applications. We only ever apply through the Department of Home Affairs website. We have our own IMI account, and that's how we prepare and lodge all of our clients' applications. Now, people can lodge their own applications. You don't have to have a migration agent. I don't recommend not having a migration agent personally, because we know too many things can go wrong, and we've had many people come to us with their cases. And but just so that you understand very clearly, you should never ever apply for citizenship if you're doing it online through any other website except for the Department of Home Affairs. Okay. Now, to add to that, citizenship applications are mostly completed online. There are paper applications, so in some cases applications may need to be made by post, but this is being gradually phased out, and you know, the department have moved more and more towards online applications only. I haven't done a paper application for a long time now. It's there are certain instances where you would still do paper applications, but the online application is much better because it's far more user friendly. You don't have to go and get documents certified by someone who's able to be to certified documents such as the JP. And I actually personally find the application process faster and it's easier to monitor because it's online. You've got your account set up. You can see exactly what the progress of the application is. Whereas if you post it in the mail, you've got no idea what's going on at the other end until you receive any kind of email correspondence from the department. Now, the types of applications, there are three main types. The main types are citizenship by conferral. Again, we talked about this last week. What is that? Citizenship by descent. And this term is called evidence of citizenship. This is another type of application, and this covers certain types of citizenship. So not all citizenship applications are the same. They are different. They also have different processes. They have different costs. They have different time frames. So they are not similar, apart from the fact that we mainly apply for them online. That's about it. So before you can even apply for citizenship, you need to understand, do you qualify for citizenship? Are you eligible? Do you meet all of the criteria? Is there anything in the criteria that you may not meet? Or is there anything in your unique situation where you might be at risk of having your citizenship application refused or knocked back or rejected? So there's a number of things to consider before applying for citizenship. When we do citizenship applications, regardless of our client base, we always start with a consultation. A consultation is the most important step in the process because that's where we do the thorough assessment. So many times people have said to me over the years, my case will be easy. My case is straightforward. And I can tell you now that very rarely have I experienced easy and straightforward cases. Even the ones that I agree should be easy and straightforward, there's often twists and turns, not necessarily by the applicant, but sometimes, and quite often actually, more than sometimes, by the department. So the department are very good at throwing curveballs at us and making our clients and us jump through extra hoops and go through all sorts of crazy additional processes that really aren't on the books, so to speak. So yeah, the assessment, the consultation stage is crucial. In fact, I will not take on clients without a consultation because I have learned the hard way that there is too many things that can go wrong. So that's why the assessment is incredibly important. You also want to be assessed correctly because should you not meet some of the criteria or your circumstances change during the process of the consultation, the application, sorry, that can have a negative effect on your application. So it's really, really important that all of those things are covered quickly. All right, now our guests have joined us. I'm going to just keep them in the waiting room for now. And yeah, I'll just keep them there for a moment. And I'll whip through this part. We've got 8 minutes left. Okay, so I've taken a screenshot of the image. There's a drop-down menu when you look at citizenship, and you'll see there the terms that have been used are the same. Processing times. Now, I'll put the link for the website, the department's website, where you get the official processing times. These do change from month to month. So whatever we show you today may not be the same next month. So it's possible. We always say to our clients, here's the link. If ever you want to know how long it's taking at the moment, you can go to the website and have a look. But to give you an idea, I've taken some screenshots of what the department's website looks like. So if you're applying for citizenship by conferral, you'll see that there is a whole lot of columns. There are actually 3 stages to a citizenship by conferral application. So there's from date of application to decision. Now for 25%, so for a quarter of the applications, they might be processed within 8 months. However, you'll see that it goes up and up and up. And in the last column, it says 90% of applications are processed in 18 months. And that's just stage 1. Then you've got stage 2, from date of approval to ceremony. So there's an approval stage. So from the date of application to decision, that's normally the part where you have your citizenship test and interview. That's in that time frame. The next stage is up to from approval to ceremony. That can take anywhere from 4 to 12 months. And then from application to ceremony. So from the beginning, from the very, very beginning to the very, very end to the ceremony, and can take anywhere from 10 to 26 months. So that's starting from the first stage, going all the way to the third stage. It can take anywhere minimum 8 to 10 months up to 26 months. So that's just over 2 years. The real problem is, what if your application gets knocked back in that third phase? You potentially could not know for up to 2 years, and then have to go back to the drawing board. So this is one of the big risks when people do citizenship themselves. It is not an easy process. Lots of people think, oh, it's easy. No, it's not. It definitely isn't. Okay, now citizenship by conferral. So I've just broken it down a little bit more, just what I've talked about. I wanted to show people how this is sectioned off, exactly what I've said. So date of application to decision. This is where you have your interview and test. Next one was, oops, what's going on here? Yeah. So then you had your stage 2. This is what it looked like from approval to ceremony. And then it's going backwards, sorry. And then that was the third stage. So this is conferral. These 3 stages don't happen for any of the other citizenship applications. It's only the conferral stage. And again, this can take up to 26 months. Processing times for citizenship by descent. Again, if you're not sure who can apply for this, watch our previous video. I am going to go into more depth about this area next week when I talk about the next part 3. So this one only takes 35 days to 4 months, and this is nice and quick. Sometimes people come to me and they say, how come so-and-so did their application and they got theirs within a week or 2 or a month? Like, I don't know. Was it the same? Was it citizenship by conferral, or was it another way? These things have a massive impact. And then the third one is evidence of citizenship. So this is where you would look at applying if you're born in Australia, or you have received citizenship on your 10th birthday, or even for someone who needs evidence because they may have lost their previous citizenship certificate. Say they got it by conferral and they've lost it. They would need to apply for evidence of citizenship. This only takes 6 to 29 days. Nice and fast, very quick turnaround. Okay, application fees. Another thing people always want to know what the costs are. So there is a link. There's a form called a 1298I. On that form, you can Google this form or you can click this link. This is a list of the application fees for each of the different citizenship types. I've put a note here. These do not include our personal professional fees. So if we're doing the application, we are responsible for applications for up to 2 years, sometimes longer. It varies on a case-by-case situation. We work that out once we've done the assessment and consultation. So people often ask, what do you charge for citizenship? Again, we don't give a price out because we won't know until we've done the assessment. Just like a builder, if you want a builder to come to your house and make an addition to your home, they can't tell you over the phone or through a Facebook message or email how much it's going to cost. They're not going to know until they measure everything up and know exactly what it is that you want. Same thing happens in our industry. All right, so application fees for this is citizenship by conferral. There are two different types of Confederal applications. You'll see there's a Form 1300T or a Form 1290. These vary depending on the age of the applicant. So the prices range from $35 up to $490. So the $35 is a concession rate for applications for people who meet this criteria, and the other one is for people who meet the criteria for that one. So the 1290s are for children up to 17. Once you turn 18, you go to a Form 1300T up to the age of 59, and then from 60 onwards, you go back to a 1290. So it just depends. And in some cases, children are included in parents' applications for free. So that's not in here. But if your child is 15 years old and under, and they have permanent residency, like yourself, then they can be included on a parent's application if the parent is applying for citizenship by Confederal, and it is free. So that's kind of not covered in this part. Citizenship by descent ranges, it starts at $315, but if you have more than one child applying for it, you actually get a discounted rate for every child after that. So long as the applications are made at the same time. And what happened? Okay, evidence of citizenship is $240. So this is for people wanting to get a copy of a citizenship certificate for proof that they are an Australian citizen. Okay, now I'm going to race through here. Next week, we'll discuss part 3. So citizenship at birth and citizenship by operation of law, which also includes citizenship by descent, because that's a kind of a birth situation too, but I will put that in there. Okay, thank you. Sorry, that's quite rushed. We crammed that one in. And again, for more information, if you want any assistance from us, we do have a free 10-minute callback service, and Kathleen is usually the one to give you a call. We have a frequently asked questions section on our website with lots and lots of questions to do with immigration. Our consultation, there is a fee for this. It's $660. It's usually up to an hour. This is where we do the full assessment and provide advice on what you can and can't do. It does not cover the work needed, our professional fees to do the application. Because remember, we could be responsible 2 years. That's not going to cut it. Or you can follow us on Facebook. You'll see lots of posts and information on our 2 Facebook pages. We've got a Motoring on Migration Proprietary Limited Facebook page. It's an open page, and there's also a private group called Motoring on Migration, which can have up to 5,000 people. And lastly, you can visit our website, motoringonmigration.com.au, and just have a browse around there. There's lots of material. I haven't added it on here, but we also have a YouTube channel. So all of our live videos that we do each Friday are also getting uploaded to our YouTube channel, so you can find them there as well. And we are learning to link them to our website, but definitely you can go to the YouTube channel. Okay, right. I need to introduce this week's guest. And this couple, Rob and Jane Epiha, they live in WA, but they had been in New South Wales for many, many years, and they only recently moved to WA. They have gone through the experience, Jane has gone through the experience of applying for a resident return visa, and she became a citizen this year, I think it was earlier this year. She received citizenship by Confederal, and they are now going through a complex partner situation. So we're doing a partner visa because Rob didn't qualify for a resident return visa. Jane did. She's in a position now to sponsor Rob, and they've decided they would like to go ahead and do that. So we're going to be chatting with them this morning. Okay, so now.
Hello.
Hello.
Morena.
I think you should.
You shouldn't have told us about the Zoom meeting earlier, because we got into Zoom and we started playing around. So we're all over the place.
I was going to say, which city are you zooming in from?
Yeah, well, we had Auckland, but Auckland would only give us the main street of Queen Street. So yeah.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
awesome.
Perth. This is Perth.
Hell, we did.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay,
Well,
I'm not going to touch a
welcome,
thing.
Yeah, but I keep disappearing.
welcome. A warm Motunga migration welcome to the both of you.
Thank
It's
you.
absolutely fantastic that you've joined us this morning, and loving the background, and we'll get to the background. We'll get to the background. But you know, when Ed and I thought about this idea of bringing on past clients, I must admit I wasn't too sure how it would be received, but we have been absolutely surprised at how many people have put their hand up to come forward. And that includes yourself, Jane and Rob. And we were really happy, Jane, that you said, yeah, you'd join us. And we were like, fantastic, we're going to get Jane and her story. But then Rob, you also decided to join too. And so we've, you know, this is the first time we've done a couple, isn't it, Edna? So this is the first for us. So hopefully it will go as we hope.
Okay.
Now, when I think of your story as well, all I think about when I think about your migration story, all I think about is that it's a big love story. And hopefully people will agree with me at the end of the story, because it's a story of hope. It's a story of taking risks. It's just such an exciting story. And I know that people who might be just thinking about whether they should do something, they're going to learn a lot from your story. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning.
Okay.
You're welcome.
We're going to start at the beginning, though. We're going to start at the beginning because I know people are going to be interested. Firstly, where do you come from? Where were you born? And where in New Zealand do you come from?
Yeah, hold on. I think we should take that off because I keep disappearing and coming back, disappearing and coming back. So it's all right.
Okay,
Just take it off.
if you lose us,
We'll
it's
have to do it again.
yeah. Oh, here we go. How about you just go solo, Jane?
If I think it's just going down to the stop video and choosing virtual background and taking it off that way, and just clicking none.
It's a good idea.
Does that work?
I don't even know how to get there.
Oh, sorry. See the little icon beside the mute button in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen?
Yeah.
There should be a mute and a stop video.
Yep.
And when you click on that little arrow on the stop video, choose virtual background.
Hang on.
That's
Little arrow on the stop video.
Okay, stop video. Yeah, the little arrow.
Yep. And then choose virtual background.
Okay. Yep.
And then click on none.
You have to
You
scroll
get
down.
that in the background and effects.
Get rid of it. Click that.
Scroll down.
Oh, scroll down. It is already scrolled down.
Oh, scroll up.
Scroll up.
And none.
None. Haha. Yep.
Yay! Good job,
Okay.
guys.
Get
There
rid of
you are.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Is that us?
That's us. That's us.
Radio.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
goodness. Okay.
I actually preferred the island scene with the
Yeah.
waves crashing on the shore. But
was
anyway, where were we?
So let's start off where you two were born and which part of New Zealand do you come from? Because I think a lot of people watching are always interested, you know, where are they from? You know, where's their family from? Because I know that I, as an Islander, always like to try and find a connection to relate to people. So
Okay.
let's start with that.
All right. Shall I start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, please, Jane.
I was born in the Cook Islands, which is Penrith, which is the northernest of the Cook Island group. Okay, I was born there, and when I was 5 years old, my grandparents brought all of us to New Zealand, and our first stop was Tokoroa, and then from there Auckland. That's that's where I was from.
Jane, and yourself, Rob?
Originally, family's from Matoni Bay, just up from Kirikiri, and yeah, moved down to Auckland in Manga there. I'm not too sure how old we were, about 5 or 6, I think. And yeah, that's where we were brought up and raised. And yeah, Jane and I met while we were both in South Auckland, and yeah, relationships started from then when I was just 18. So it's been one of those long sort of like relationships where it just sort of like develops, and you get used to each other over those years. And yeah, it's just like having a favorite blanket, actually, I could put it that way.
I'm pretty sure that you two have celebrated a recent anniversary as well. Isn't that right? How many years have you two been together?
40. Oh.
Married, hang on, you wrote down all the answers to all your questions. Okay.
Or have I got it wrong? Was it in?
No,
you got it right. We've been married for 30 years and together for 40.
Now that's a long time. And I remember when I came away after our first meeting and that first interview, I thought to myself, I don't know why immigration needs to have paperwork on a couple such as yourselves, because it was just within a few minutes, you could tell you two have been together, you're in a genuine relationship, and it's continuing and ongoing. So shout out to the government. If you've got to change a process, change this process. Those who've been in a long ongoing relationship should not have to lodge an application, because I just knew from the beginning you just exuded such love and genuineness. And what is one tip you can give to us who are still making our way to that figure? What's your one secret that you can share about having such a long
one?
I think the first years of courtship, if you can put it that way, when you're getting used to each other, and you get to know what works and what doesn't, and before you actually start living together, eh, Jane?
Yeah.
And yeah, once you get over that hurdle, then there's a whole lot of other things that fall into place as well. You either like or dislike, and it's all about being honest with each other. Like Jane told me that she didn't like some of my friends coming around, so I had to give them the boot, which I was happy to do. And then they understood. If they're good friends, they'll understand. But it's those types of things that you get used to, and I think it worked with Jane as well. Yeah, it's
thanks, Rob.
Just that once we decided to get married, that was it. We so used to each other that yeah, we couldn't be bothered sort of like getting used to anyone else. So.
In my perspective, it's through all the difficulties, adversities, and struggles that you face as a couple, no matter what, with our personalities and our idiosyncrasies and everything else, that all comes on board with the relationship. And it's endurance, it's persevering, because there will always be the difficulties, adversities, and struggles. And you've got to be able to get through them and come to a point where forgiveness is the best thing, no matter what. And that's what holds a relationship together.
Not that I needed quite a lot of forgiving, but yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, so you two finally got married. You had a family, is that right? You've got one daughter.
Yes.
Can you tell us about?
Yes.
That's our favourite subject. So,
yes, that's our favourite subject. Because I had endometriosis, it was very, very hard for me to get pregnant. And I didn't know I had it until the doctor sent me to a specialist, and he said, oh, you've got endo. And I always had problems. I would constantly bleed, and I was anemic. So he said to me, look, Mrs. Epiha, the best thing to do is to have a baby. That might sort it out. And we said, oh, okay. So he put us into IVF, which is the private side. We were allowed to have 3 tries. In the 3rd try, we got it took, and it was nice. And they said, oh, you're pregnant in the first instance. And then he went off to the Air Force over in Fiji. But then I had to go for another checkup. And then when I went there, the nurse said, she was quiet. She walked out and then she came back. She said, oh, look, I'm sorry, but you know, your baby is we have to take you to the hospital and have you cleaned out. And that was really devastating. So I think Robert was flown back and we had time to grieve. And then the specialist said, okay, we'll put you onto the public in vitro. So we went on that, and they said, okay, you've got to take time for your body to get back into sync again. So we did. And then I got sick, and then I went to he took me to the A&E, and the doctor said, oh, your temperature's fine and your heartbeat's fine, and we're going to do a pregnancy test. And I thought, this doctor doesn't know my history. And he said, oh, look, just humour me and do it. And so I did it. And he said, oh, Mrs. Epiha, you're pregnant. And my first words were, you're kidding. And Robert, and he called Robert and he said, and Robert was at the doorway, and he said to Robert, Mr. Epiha, your wife is pregnant. And his first words were, how? So God,
and the doctor's words to me were, you know how, Mr. Epiha.
You know how.
So.
And yeah, because we didn't put everything in there, so I had to go in the ambulance to National Women's to check if everything was fine. But it was about 2 a.m. in the morning, and the doctor said, Mrs. Epiha, we're not going to take you into surgery. We're going to wait till the morning and give you a scan to see how everything is. At 9 a.m., we were both there. They gave me a scan and they said, oh, Mrs. Epiha, everything's in the right place. Yeah, you're about 5 weeks pregnant.
Yeah, and that's when Mikey came into existence, I guess. So yeah. we were very happy, very, very tentative with how Jane, should be treated, kid gloves, no bumps, and I never went over the speed limit once. And so we were very careful this time. And and Mikey came along, and it was just brilliant, absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
And I was 39 when I found out, glory to God, that I was pregnant naturally. I was over the moon. Yeah. And just, I'm not going to say this in the thing, we're just going to say yes. But after that, when we had her and she was still a baby, I kept on bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. And my specialist said, Mrs. Epiha, you've got your baby in the age you are, you may need to have a hysterectomy. And I was holding out for one more baby. But I was blessed with this message. Look, you've waited so long for this baby. You might be unable to take care of her. So I said, okay, let's give myself a hysterectomy. But that's life.
Thank you, Jane, for sharing that story with us.
But I won't share it.
No, thank you for that. Is something I think that a lot of people will relate to. I mean, women who haven't had children or can't have children due to endometriosis, and that's something that really difficult that you've shared with us, and I really appreciate that. And I'm so happy that you had Mikey in the end, and she is a very successful doctor, I hear.
Yeah, she's enjoying her career over in New Zealand. We had to send her back. Well, to be honest, we just hated a teenager in our place all the time, demanding so many things. So we kicked her out, and we ended up sending her up back in Auckland so she could go to Auckland Uni. University over here, especially for Kiwis, if you aren't a permanent resident or a citizen, it was pretty hard for securing loans, HECS and things like that. So it was a good thing that Mikey did go back, being brought up in Australia. Going back to Auckland Uni, she found her culture again. And it was just wonderful to hear some of the place names that she mispronounced, and then now she's pronouncing them properly. But yes,
she said, "Oh," we said, "What area are you going through?" And she said, "Oh, I think it's Wanhanga."
And I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
We went, "No, hun, it's only Hanga."
Yeah. But what about only tree? No, it's one tree, and it totally confused her. but
you can't, yeah.
Yes, and she goes Tiatatu, and we said, "No, hun."
Tiatatu.
Yeah, Tiatatu. And she looked. We go, "No, hun, it's Tiatatu." Okay. Tiatatu. Oh, okay.
But she's really good now, and she loves her career. She's come through a hard time being a young 17-year-old in a different country, no friends, a new school, new uni, and the way she's progressed, we are just so super proud of her. And now she's a second-year doctor in North Shore Hospital, and still enjoying it. Yeah. So
yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds like you had a really good life in New Zealand, and, you know, Mikey was born there, and it sounds like you were settled. Why did you decide to move to Australia?
Because the opportunity in Australia was too good to give up, too good to say no. What happened was, in that era, Robert was in the Air Force, and it was Helen Clark who changed who restructured the Air Force, and a lot of the engineers and everyone in the Air Force were going to lose their jobs,
be made redundant. Yeah, or moved on.
So there came an opportunity. Word got around that, hey, there's jobs on the Defence Force bases over in Australia. And because in the Air Force, they had a lot of leave. So Robert applied, and he went over, and he would work 2 weeks. 2 weeks, come back.
Just sort of like a trial basis, and ended up liking the job. They like the way that Kiwis work. Apparently, Kiwis are really good workers over there. We don't tend to sort of like sit back and let someone else do our jobs. We're always very progressive on how we'd like things to go. Like a good example of that is there are some jobs in the aircraft industry that you try to steer away from, like crawling through fuel tanks. But all of us Kiwi guys were used to that, being in the Air Force. If they order you to get in there, you get in there. So we would dive in there, do all the work, come out, close her up, and they'd go, "Wow, is that job finished? Yeah, what's the next one?" So they were handing out, giving us job opportunities over there to work for Qantas Defence Forces. And yeah, there was a few of us that took it up, and yeah, got snapped up by them. So we decided to move over there.
Yeah.
And I think I was 12 years.
What year did you move here?
2002. Yeah.
2002. So it's 20 years you've been here, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 20 years.
When you look back over those 20 years, is there something you would have wished you have done or knew before you came over?
No, not really. I think we had everything pretty much sorted. Who knows where your career path for me would have taken me. It wasn't until I was halfway through working with Qantas that I found out about other opportunities outside aviation, which was working for oil and gas. And that was sort of like the cream of the cream jobs for blue collar workers. So it was always sort of like a dream. And if I had looked back, I probably would have started in that industry as an apprentice, or around those initial years of my employment, because I started from the railways in Otahu, and the amount of cash that could have been earned as an oil and gas worker is just incredible. It's just crazy money. And even if you went offshore like I did, then it just multiplies by a factor of 10, you could say. Yeah, stupid money. So we were, if I had to do anything again, yeah, perhaps I might have tried oil and gas first before aviation. I don't know. But I'm happy that how it all turned out, because Mike is where she is now and she's happy, and we're in Perth, and Perth is a big city, yet small enough for us to get around, smaller than Sydney, and we kind of like it.
You did have a short, oh sorry Jane, after you.
And thank goodness when we got into New South Wales, we went to, was it Centrelink or was it what's the Medicare?
Medicare.
We went
I
into,
remember that. I know where you're going.
Yeah, we went into Medicare, and they said to us, we'll give you Medicare if you give us all the information that you have actually severed your ties with New Zealand. So we gave them the sale of our house,
our one-way flights,
our one-way tickets, and also bringing our container of goods here. And we gave it to them, and they said, okay, you've got Medicare.
Yeah, that was incredible, because I thought that was a right for all Kiwis that would come across to have Medicare. But yeah, it seemed a wee bit invasive with the questions that she asked. And at the same time, I remember it vividly. She said, oh yeah, this is only because with you Kiwis coming over here, you tend to plant yourself on the system, you know, for free health benefits. And I was going, that didn't even enter my mind. I thought this was one of the normal progressions for anyone coming out from New Zealand, coming over to Australia. So that was a wee bit of a shocker.
Yeah, but we thank goodness we had all the information that we had to show them we had severed ties with New Zealand.
Yeah. No, so you've made, you know, you stayed in New South Wales for a bit of time, and it's during that time you made a decision. You had some immigration issues that you basically wanted to seek assistance with. How did that kind of come about?
Because mainly because we knew we were getting older and we were coming to retirement age, and and with us, we looked at our life in Australia compared to our life in New Zealand. And our life in Australia, you work hard and you can progress and do very, very well. In New Zealand, you work hard, but you always basically stay at the same level. And that's why we thought, no, we've done so well here in Australia. And Australia has been very, very good to us. So we said, no, we better make actions to get to be citizens.
So how did you, sorry, Rob.
Oh no, it was part of Jane's work profile too, that to access defence records, because you used to work at Australian Aerospace. And part of the process of that was for Jane to become a citizen or have permanent residencies, so she can have access to that database. But during that time, there were agents sort of like referred to us, like Deloitte's and things like that, and that just put us off, because it just made everything just sound so complicated.
Correct.
And hence the reason why we just put it off and put it off and put it off until recently, when Jane approached you for assistance with her application. And that was sort of like a test case for me. So we'd put you in it and sort of like see how that all went. And that went, whoa, yeah, well, it's my turn after you've done yours. So there you go.
And I'm very thankful that one of the guys at work, Dale Evans, we got chatting and he said, oh, Jane, I've got my Australian citizenship. And I said, oh, really? I said, who did you get it through? And he said, Mortimer Migration. He said, I'll send you an email and give you the details. I said, okay.
Yep.
What made, so you made the call and you went through the consultation. What was it that at the consultation that kind of made you come back and sign that service agreement to have Mortimer Migration take over your case?
Well, it's all thanks to Irina, because talking to her, she gave me confidence and hope, and she gave me all the information what you needed to do. And to me, it sounded such a confident process compared to the immigration companies that who I worked with gave to me. And I thought, yes, okay, this is it. And it's just Mortimer Migration, Erin, and all of you who understand who we are as Maoris and Islanders, as New Zealanders.
As New Zealanders.
Absolutely.
Yes, as New Zealanders.
Yeah. It's the name, wow, that's that either looks Aboriginal or it could be Māori. And because there are similarities with some of the place names over here as well. So first it's the name, second it's seeing you, and actually talking over the phone and talking like this.
Yes.
And that's when we knew we were in good hands. Yeah. So there was no hesitation in signing.
So let me talk about Jane's case first. Jane, you went through an RRV because you came before 1994.
Correct.
Did you know about that pathway? Did you know that pathway was available for you?
No, I didn't. But I heard murmurings. And I kind of heard the murmuring from one of my cousins, and she kind of quickly gave me a synopsis of an RRV, and I thought, oh, okay. So I asked Irina about it, and she gave me all the information, and I went, oh, thank goodness I keep all our passports. And then I went through to find my passport, and there it was. And I said, yep, I've got it. And
that process, how long did the RRV take you? How long did that take to get the RRV?
Oh, it was very simple and very, very quick. Well, to me, it was really, I thought, wow, I'm surprised. And even Irina was saying to me, oh, look, I'm so sorry that this has taken so long. And I thought, wow, it's not long at all.
How long?
About
4 months.
Was it about 4 months or something like that? Yes, and you were apologising for how long it was taking, and I thought, whoa, that's not long at all. That's pretty fast. That is pretty fast.
I think Edna would have been apologising because prior to COVID, they were taking a lot less time to process. And so, for us, considering that experience beforehand and what you were going through, she was apologising, thinking, oh, no, these people, they were thinking it's taking so long, but, unfortunately, it's out of our hands.
Yes, and
but
just
4 months.
I got my confirmation of permanent residency, and there was another girl in the office who was putting her partner into to apply for Australian permanent residency for her partner, and she came past, and it wasn't because I was being what's the word, showing off or anything. And it was I wanted to pass on the joy. I said, oh, hey Kathleen, I've just got confirmation that my permanent residency is confirmed. And she went, wow, because she had put her partner's permanent residency in before me, and she said, you'll have to give me their name and their number. And I said, yep, okay.
So how did it feel? How did it feel after 20 years being here? In 4 months, you'd just received residency, permanent residency visa, essentially.
Well, I thought to myself, we should have done this ages ago. But then we wouldn't have known about modern migration, you see. So it all came, everything just aligned. Everything just aligned. So yeah.
Was the return visa pathway, was that just recent by about 10 years?
I'll
Or is
let
that
Edina
really
answer that one.
Sorry.
Edina will answer.
Yeah.
Edina.
Yes, because I think there was, if you had arrived in New Zealand before 1991 or something like that, then there was another pathway that you could take. It was sort of like friends of mine actually did that, and I was scanning my passport to see if I had the same dates in mind, and it didn't. When Jane's application for permanent residency came up with the return visa pathway, I was scanning again through my passport, nothing. Yeah, so disappointed.
Edina, did you want to? Sorry, Edina, are you on mute?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, with resident return visas, it's a visa that's been around for many, many years, but for New Zealand citizens, we weren't able to apply for it. And I had started researching and campaigning in early 2013. And so as part of my research, I kept coming back to resident return visa because I myself had lived in Sydney in the 80s. And, I kept thinking there must be a way to go back because our status was different at that time. Anyway, long story short, I kept pushing, kept searching, and I met someone who worked within the department and was quite high up in the department. And they offered they couldn't give me advice because they're not a migration agent. Like, even though they work in the department, they have these high positions, they're not allowed to give advice. But he was really kind enough to just encourage me to keep pushing, keep prodding. And the department kept saying to me, no, you can't apply for resident return visa, and push it and tried it, and hello, it worked. So
wow.
And what I know now is that the department, somewhere along the lines, I don't know what date exactly, but it was around about that time, they somehow changed the way they interpreted not so much the law, but the intention of what the laws were back pre-1994. And the intention of the Trans-Tasman travel arrangement between the two countries was that our citizens would be treated like permanent residents in each other's countries. And to qualify for the resident return visa, you must be able to show that you were recognised as a permanent resident. And it was a bit hard for us because we were never ever given a permanent visa at any given time in history unless we applied for a particular type of permanent visa.
Sure.
So we're very grateful that, today the department still acknowledge and recognise that even though we didn't have that piece of paper pre-94 before the laws changed and this new visa came into effect, that they will consider still that, along with a few other criteria that we have to meet. So so that's why it has been, it's been 9 years now. It's 2022.
Well done.
I'll never forget it. Yeah.
Well
June 2013 is when I received confirmation that yes, we could. And then by then we just went, all over social media, all over Facebook, and we've just been posting about ROV ever since. Encouraging.
And that was you set the precedent for everyone else to follow.
Yeah, I think I was just in the right place at the right time. Sometimes, you create your luck by just being there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, met the right person. And so grateful for that, because I think it's changed thousands of our lives. And this is just someone who, I didn't have any experience with law or immigration or anything, but it goes to show that you don't have to be an expert in something sometimes to find valuable sources of information and pathways and solutions, whether it's in immigration or what have you. Sometimes, just the old bush lawyer, they say.
Well, you guys are definitely valuable to all of us. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Jane. And so, and thank you, sorry, Edina, for sharing that, because I think a lot of people think, oh, you know, this is a process that is just something that could have been available all this time. But really, if it hadn't been for your tenacity to kind of follow that up, and also these, you know, using these people that came into your pathway, it had to have been something in the universe that just made you and this person come together. And then for you to grab onto that information and keep digging, it's now opened this pathway for many people who probably may not have had another pathway, you know, to get permanent residency. So really grateful for that, Edina. And you now sharing that with everybody. You're sharing that pathway with people. And that's how, Jane, you got your permanent residency, and you subsequently got citizenship.
Yes.
And now, as Rob says, it's his turn.
It's his
So
turn.
what's happening there? What is his turn? What does that mean?
Well, for me, I'm looking, of course, for citizenship, because I'm at the stage where I'm getting a wee bit older, a wee bit slower. Because of that, I do have a medical condition. I have applied for medical support and found out, because I'm a Kiwi, I wasn't eligible for that support. This was a few years ago when I was in New South Wales, and because of that, and we want to stay here in Australia. Like Jane said, Australia's been good to us, and yeah, we've kind of set our roots here. We're in the middle of building a house, so we're happy with our living conditions and where we are. And I thought, well, to enjoy a retirement and what becomes of my medical condition, it's best for me to apply for citizenship as well. It was always going to be on the cards, of course, since Jane's sort of like leading the way. But yeah, with my medical condition, just added another incentive to become a citizen of Australia. And yeah, hopefully my Aussie friends will stop giving me a bit of flack. Looking forward to sorry?
You're going through the partner visa process, is that right?
Correct. Yes.
And what are some of the things that you've had to do through this process in terms of the partner visa?
It has been quite a smooth process. If it was in New South Wales, it would have been smoother, because we've got a lot of close friends in New South Wales to fulfil the requirements of the stack decks and things like that. But over here, I had to rely on them to fill out their declarations and then send them back over here. So yeah, that wasn't too hard. It just had to be patient. And so they came through at that. Another thing was trying to revise from, well, our relationship, really, to put it down in paper. And that took some time, because I'd always sort of like thought the story went this way. When Jane would recorrect me, I went, no, I didn't meet you until this. And I went, yeah, but you were, no, I wasn't wearing that. And there were all these little things that, yeah, got added or subtracted to my my statement, my relationship statement, and then the photos. Well, it was what photos I could sort of like attach to it. No, I don't like that one. Get rid of that one. This one.
No, it wasn't. He put two photos on there, and I said, look, that one should come first, and that one should come second. All it was.
So yeah, and it's the constant editing of everything, and yeah, before you know it, well, this is taking a bit long. I've got to send this in.
And I had to apologise to Glenda and say sorry. This is the third one, but this will be the final one. Okay.
You see, I'm the type of person who would send something in, and I don't like relying on spell check or grammar check or whatever. So what you see is what you get. It's sort of like old school, when you used to apply for a job, you used to do it by handwriting a letter, and you could tell a lot by someone's handwriting. That was my excuse anyway. But Jane, totally different. Yes, all that
Grammar,
yes,
spelling,
yes,
in consecutive order.
yes.
Okay,
So,
no, that shouldn't go up there. This is down here.
so to wrap it all up in a nutshell, yeah, the process itself is very smooth.
Yes, it was.
I do apologise if I took a bit of time on it. Not your fault. It's just me and Jane messing around with things and waiting for things to come over from New South Wales. But yeah, very happy with the process.
Very happy. Very happy.
Well, we're actually really we're really happy to see that you're both involved in the process. Because a lot of the time, sometimes it's normally, you know, either the sponsor or it's just the applicant, you know, that kind of takes on that whole burden of putting all the application information together. So those out there who might be thinking of doing a partner visa, take note. This is what you need to do. You need to both be involved. You need to both share the load and have fun putting it together as well.
Absolutely agree.
Oh,
Absolutely
we did,
agree.
yes.
Yeah. And we enjoyed the process too, especially on, how did we first meet? And and it's lovely. It's lovely reminiscing back to our past and through our life together and to where we are today.
Do you think this is something you could have done on your own? You could have put this application together on your own?
Yeah, sure. I could have put it together on my own, but you wouldn't have seen the polished cut that you received from me. It would have been sort of like somewhat fragmented. A few shots of me looking really good and Jane looking, well, not so good. Well, in her in her eye, yeah. But I think every individual could to fill out one of those relationship statements quite easily. Yeah, but we had such a long history together. It's sort of like capturing everything chronologically and making sure all the important bits were in there. So, yeah.
Now, there's a lot of people who might be thinking as well about a partner visa, lodging a partner visa. What's one bit of advice you'd like to give them about contacting Mortimer Migration? They might just on the, you know, on the edge, just, I don't know if I should do this, or what's one bit of encouragement you can give people who might be wanting to seek advice and just to do it?
I think the main thing that I found was the simplicity of it all when talking to you guys, and the directions that you gave and the process on how you laid everything out. It was really easy for me to understand. I think the reason if you are seeking to apply for a partner visa, our motivations for doing it were because I'm sort of like entering into retirement and things up, you know, that I've already discussed, but there are a few other things that will benefit Kiwis being over here and having that permanent residency or citizenship under their belts. You know, you're talking about uni, for instance. You know, if you've got a young family and kids approaching that stage of education. Also, you're looking for medical support like I was, but perhaps you may need it earlier on in your life. And yeah, there are no complications or no embarrassing moments when you go and ask for these things. And yeah, if you have citizenship or permanent residency, it just makes things move so smoother. Yeah, we're basically when I started with Mortimer Migration, from what I saw from Jane, her experience, to my first contact with you, I would recommend you guys to everyone, and I have to a couple of friends.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Definitely, exactly what he said. Exactly
Jane,
what he said.
do you have any?
Yeah. I just, when I first went through Moringa migration, it was just the initial talking with Erina and everything she said to do and everything else. It was so easy and so simple, and it was wonderful. We recommend to everyone that Moringa migration is the best immigration you should go through. That's the
Thank you
truth.
so much. Thank you so much, Jane. Edina, I just might ask you as well, is there anything you'd like to say to Jane and Rob? I know they're going, you know, their case is probably going to have some complexities. Do you want to just talk through that, and if there's anything else you wanted to add as well?
Yeah. Well, I knew Jane initially because Jane and I had the first contact, and Jane had told me that, Rob, you were working overseas, flying in, flying out still at that time, and the story about Mikey having to go back to New Zealand to study, and, you know, and that's worked out really well for her. But I know as a family, you would have probably struggled, especially being your only child as well, being in 2 different countries. And then, of course, we have this global pandemic, and you can't even get back to see each other as often as you'd like to. And then, you know, hearing from you wanting to move forward with your partner visa, and, you know, and as you say, like the medical condition have developed in recent years, so we had to look at that. And I think paperwork is one thing, and we try and make the application processes as smooth as possible, because we know a lot of us are the same when it comes to paperwork. It can be quite overwhelming, and especially if it's in an area that we're not familiar with, and understand that it is high stakes. It needs to be done properly, otherwise we can run into all sorts of problems and mountains can be made out of molehills really easily when it comes to immigration. I think doing the consultation and really going in depth about the partner visa side of things was good, but I think for yourselves, it's really important that you understand, and this goes for everybody, that when you go through a visa application process, for example, that whoever you speak to, whether it's us or another migration agent or immigration lawyer, that they know your situation, you know, through and through, so that they can be really frank with what your prospects are, what are the possible challenges that may come about, so that you can go into the whole process, you know, if you decide to, with an informed decision. You're making an informed decision. And as much as we'd always like to guarantee people's success at the other end, because we don't, you know, we're not in this business to just try and apply willy-nilly. We want to give people real prospects, but also know that sometimes our clients have to be brave and take a risk, because we don't know until you try. And we know that in your situation, it is going to be risky and tricky. But the good thing is that Jane is now an Australian citizen. She's not just a permanent resident anymore. And by virtue of the fact that it's a partner visa, has another extra added layer of weight, because we looked at the 189 New Zealand stream visa, which you would have qualified for easily, and we could have done that. But we weighed up all the pros and cons of that type of application, as well as the time it's taking for that one to be processed against the partner visa. And you opted to do the partner visa instead, because it hopefully will be quicker, but also it's, with a partner visa application, even though there's risk in your instance, say with the health side of things, there is a lot of weight in favour, because your wife is an Australian citizen now, and it kind of doesn't make sense for the department to knock back partner visa applications if the spouse doesn't meet a health requirement. And aside from that, we know that if the department does decide to knock it back on health, that we have got some additional processes and other tricks up our sleeve that we can try. That's not the end of the road. So there's quite a few things, but I think for both of you, we had to discuss all of that in detail, so that you were very, very clear about what this is going to look like. And we want to try and hopefully get it approved at the first stage, which is doing the partner visa application, addressing the medical side of things, because we know that's where the risk is for yourself, and then hopefully have the visa approved in that phase. If it does have to go to other phases, we know that that's going to be additional work, additional time, additional cost, additional processes. So we really want to make sure that we get, throw everything at it so that hopefully we get it at the first stage. And that's where I think too, it's really valuable that you know what's happening, that you have professionals in your life handling your matters that know what the processes are and will act in your best interests, as if it were their own application or their own family member's application. That's really important, I think.
Yes.
Because, it's not about tuning people through like a conveyance about, application after application. It's trying to make sure that each one is being well taken care of, to the point where if, hopefully it doesn't, but let's say if it did get knocked back, we would all know in our hearts that we tried absolutely everything we could to, make it as successful as possible, that there's nothing else that we could have done to change it, because we know the department they're the judge and the jury at the end of the day, but it's up to us to.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally understand that, and I'm hoping for the best. But I know if all the pathways that you're speaking about, if they come up with a zero result, I'm pretty much happy that I've tried everything to become an Aussie, and but that's okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that. But I'll be even happier if I am. I get a free Wallabies jersey.
Look, and we're very hopeful, but I guess this is where I think a lot of people who might see this video and listen to this kōrero, this conversation, people do know that their own circumstances, and many of them are afraid to take a step forward because they're afraid that already they assess themselves as they disqualify themselves based on what other people are saying or what they find. But it's not always the case, and yes, money's involved, time's involved, energy is involved.
Sorry.
I know.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said self-assessment, because that's what I was doing when I was hearing all these little rumors from friends. Were you here before 91? And I went, oh no, I wasn't. So that's it. I just stopped looking for citizenship. Yet I could have gotten on the 189 because I was being a specialist with the aviation industry back then, and also working for oil and gas. There were all these different pathways that I could have taken if I would have just asked someone in the right in the industry like yourselves to give me that good advice. But just rely too much on me mates.
Yeah, and look, timing is everything. I remember Jane telling me about your situation right from the get-go, and I said, oh, we could do a 189 for hubby, like do your ROV, and then and I recall our conversation, Jane, was something around the lines of, oh, we'll do me first, and hubby's he's overseas, and we'll sort myself out first, and then you. And I have to go back and look through our records, but possibly we might have, if we had have done the 189 back then, we would have got through without more of it. The health, because the health only developed in recent.
Correct.
So, I don't know. We can't read the future. We don't have a crystal ball.
I just blame it on Jane.
Hey. My absolute faith in my God, Jehovah, Jesus Christ, and Holy Spirit will continue to walk in our lives.
But it makes it more interesting when you've got extra hoops to jump through.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, with you guys supporting me, I don't mind jumping through it. So there you go.
Thank you so much, Jane and Rob. And it just shows the importance of just getting the right help. And that's why we're here at Moronga Migration. We can help to narrow down those options and, you know, give you that pathway so that you know what's best for you, and you don't have to go through all that self-doubt, that self-thinking, that self-sabotage that we do to ourselves, you know, when we rule out ourselves from so many opportunities before we've actually taken the risk, the step forward to actually get that advice. You have been an absolute pleasure. I wish we could just have all day to talk to you both, because you've talked about things that are so important to Kiwis. You've talked about, you know, kids getting education here. You've talked about Medicare. You've talked about, you know, getting medical support, the issues about getting medical support. And you've talked about retirement and buying a house here, all these phases of life that Kiwis will experience here. You've talked about that. And through all of it, though, I can see just hope. You've shared a message of hope. You've shared a message of courage. You've been so vulnerable with us today to share your life struggles as well. But what I can see is that the love that you two have is going to see you through anything, whatever, you know, complex issues that come our way. Your love is going to see you through it. And we will be here right with you, Rob and Jane.
Thank you.
Whatever the department throws it at us, we're going to hit it back at them. All right, we've got a big tennis racket. We're going to hit it back at them. So, you know, we look forward to continuing to work with you both. And thank you so much for always sharing good stuff about us as well. There's just nothing we can do to thank you enough for your time here today with us as well. Any last comments from anyone before we sign off for the day?
We thank God for Moronga Migration.
Yeah. Amen.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you so much, Jane. That's a beautiful, beautiful way to end our discussion today. And
Okay.
So lovely to meet with you both again. And yes, well, our journey together isn't over. We've still got hurdles ahead of us, but like Kathleen said, we're going to be with you every step of the way, every minute, every moment, here to support you guys and do everything we can to help you get your visa. And hopefully one day, not too far ahead, we'll be able to say, yes, we did it. Or
be looking forward to that.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, take care. Look, enjoy the rest of your day. Happy Friday.
Yes. Same to you. Take care. Happy Friday.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Awesome. Lovely, lovely couple. Well, that's us for another Friday, Kathleen.
Thank you so much for taking us through the process earlier today. Look forward to more for next week. So everyone, I hope you have a great weekend.
Yes, have a good weekend. And thank you, Kathleen. You're amazing. I love the way you interview people. I think we are very, very lucky to have you with us.
Channel 10, don't bother offering me a contract because I'm already in my dream job. Thank you.
That's right. All right. See you, everyone.
Bye.